easier to do.
Okay, so ethical approval. The situation at the moment is that there's been a change in policy in the university, that we're now able to do light touch, and I'll tell you what that means in a second, ethical approval in-house within programme teams. In fact, that's what's required of programme teams now, is to do the ethical approval in-house at the first level. So what used to be the situation that you were asking students to go through the online form at the proposal stage, before they started collecting data for the dissertation, was that they would go into the online system and they'd choose from the drop-down menu the authoriser Melanie Wild. Now they will be choosing, and at the moment it's me. Now we would like more of the team to be involved with that, because as you will have realised as we're thinking through this new programme, revised programme, people will be coming with their dissertation proposals in much larger batches than before. We need more than one person. I'm going to have to hand that on to Saida, and she's going to need more than herself to review all the ethical approval forms that are coming in at about the same time. We did think that we would be able to ask volunteers from yourselves to come in and get the face-to-face training that's needed to become an ethical approval. But I was told on Friday that at the moment the current state of the university is that that's not going to be possible at the moment. They need it to be done by the academic members of staff here at base. So Way's just about to go on the training, and so there will be at least 3 of us that are trained up. So at the moment, for any student that needs to have ethical approval now at the pre-dissertation stage, pre-data collection stage of the dissertation, can you ask them to choose me in the drop-down box? And that leads us on to the sort of practicalities of how do we know who's got approval.
Can I just ask just a small question?
Yeah.
So for the data collection activities,
No.
in OIT, do you need ethical approval for those?
No, we are applying, and what I should say is that if I judge that the proposal's coming in at above minimal risk, and one of the checklists in that ethical approval form has a number of yes/nos, effectively, some of those, if it triggers some of those yes boxes, it tends to mean that it's above minimal risk, particularly working with children, particularly in vulnerable adults in certain situations. So I then have to, well, I thought it was escalate. There's a button called escalate, but apparently it's refer. I need to refer that to the new departmental ethics officer, who is Hugh Busher. So instead of Melanie Wild, I will be escalating anybody that needs above minimal risk approval, so they need to have the departmental officer looking at it. It will be forwarded to Hugh Busher. He will be given the approval. The problem comes in the system, and I will come back to that point. The problem comes in the system is that it's all online. So the students actually have to, once it comes into my box and I approve it, it goes out of my box. If I refer it on to Hugh, it goes into Hugh's box. How many of you see the results of the ethical approval process? There was an email that went round a few weeks ago that Catherine Fletcher sent round that asked students to complete the ethical approval form in, it was an RTF form, a rich text form first, so that they could type in their words before they went into the online form. And it also advised them to click on the option that said email this approval, so that you could be alerted to that it being put in, it being submitted for approval. Has anybody had any emails coming through that way?
I've seen one.
Excellent. Okay, so but this is, that's the emphasis on the students. The students have to click that button. They have to send you the ethical approval form as it's being submitted, but that's only showing that it's being submitted. So we need to have a system in place that tracks the approvals, and that's what we need your advice, because ideally it would be that the tutor knew, because obviously you'll be guiding them in data collection, and you know, can I start yet? And so you need as tutors
Right.
to know. Now there is, when I give approval, there is no. I can track who I've approved, you know, by writing it down. But
Can you block a student's, can you sort of suspend a student's use of the material until, so that they couldn't start something and continue? If it was wrong, if it was not done, you know, that in order to kind of enter the last. I mean, this doesn't quite work because you do it within, but imagine that you couldn't enter the box marked dissertation until you'd done this.
that, I mean, that's the solution that the administrative team. It would be really nice if you had this tick box at the end of research methods that would trigger this person, you know, is or isn't ready for the dissertation. It doesn't work like that now, structurally, and it certainly doesn't, as we've just explained, in the new system. So we need your support, really, in getting students to tell you when they've applied, but we need to think of a system of alerting you to when it's been approved. Yeah.